Hi, it's Mama Rose, and I am on the first day of categorizing or cataloging by video everything that we're eating. So this morning I did a quick video. We had cube steak. I said it was 11/6. It's actually the 7th of November and of 2019. So this morning we had our made a cube steak that we split and a bunch of bacon. And that's what we had for breakfast. And Mark had an egg on his cube steak. So now I'm going to make some chicken bone broth. And I don't think I did. I'm going to go ahead and turn it down now so you can see it all. These are the chicken feet. All right, so we got chicken feet in there. And then I've got an onion that I had used for something else. Now we are carnivore, so onions are not on the carnivore way of eating. The strict carnivore, boy, I can't get those out of the jar. And if you ever do open an onion, if you are eating onions and you do open an onion, just a little hint, won't come out. You don't want to put it in a plastic bag. Onion is a drawer. So if you have an infection or something, like a cold or something, or a really bad sore throat, you can go ahead and make a poultice. You have to look online to see how to do that, but you can make a poultice out of onion, and it will actually draw the poisons and stuff out. So it's a drawer. You can do that with croup on the chest for, if you've got a real bad chest cold. So you can look that up. I love Barbara O'Neill. That's Neil. You can look for her online, and she is a Seventh-day Adventist, I believe, so she doesn't eat meat at all, but she has a lot of really good information on doing probiotics and poultices and how to use herbs for healing. I happen to always, even though we don't eat a lot of celery anymore, in fact, we're doing carnivore, we're not eating celery, but I happen to have this in the refrigerator, and I always like to keep it around just because I love celery in my soups. It gives a really nice flavor. So I'm just going to throw that in. You don't have to be real particular about it because we're going to strain this after it's done. And then whenever we have chicken wings, which is quite often, we had them last night with our steak. We had a ribeye. So I cut off these little winglets, and if I have any celery that I've used, I made turkey salad last week. And I don't know if it was the onions and the celery in there being carnivore that made me sick to my stomach, but I made homemade mayonnaise. And anyway, it didn't set well with me with the chaffle. But so anyway, anytime we have chicken like that, I always go ahead and save those. And then we also had chicken wings for dinner last night, like I said, and there's all the bones from those. And then we do have... I have some parsley and some oregano and just a chard that I was growing in the garden that I'm going to throw in there. We are going to cook it, and we're going to pressure cook it for probably maybe 6 to 8 hours. This Instant Pot goes 4 hours at a time, so I'm going to do 4 hours. Then once that's done, I'll probably come in and do another. Maybe I'll do another 4 hours instead of 72 hours. 72 hours for bone broth, even though they'll tell you 24 is the ultimate best to do it. You get the most out of the bones. These are bone backs that I got from my lady at the farmer's market, and they're frozen. I just put them right in there. And then you always want to make sure that you put your, I use Bragg's apple cider vinegar. There you go, Bragg's apple cider vinegar. I usually buy it by the gallon, and I have it in here because I'll use it in my salad. So a couple tablespoons in here, and what that does is that helps really draw out and the calcium and all the minerals and all the things that are in the bones, out of the bones, helps break them down. When we're done with this, you're going to see, I'll come back and do another video when it's done, and then you can see how the bones just squish. We just squish the bones and get all the good stuff out of it. So, and I'm going to put lots of salt. This is Celtic salt. If anybody knows me, they know I always, look, there's a leaf in there. We don't want that. This came out of the garden and a leaf fell in the parsley. We don't need that. I use Celtic salt, and you want to use quite a bit. You want the salt in here because you're going to get your magnesium and all the other trace minerals that are in it. And I do use Celtic salt because it has three different magnesiums in it, as opposed to Himalayan salt or Redmond's real salt. They both have a lot of minerals in them. Celtic salt has about 82, depending on who you ask, about 82 minerals. Sea salt has 92, I believe. So I'm going to go ahead and use distilled water for this, which I see I don't have. I'm going to go ahead and use this. Okay. And the reason I like to use distilled water is because it's empty water. It's empty. And so I want to fill it. I'm going to go over here and get more. I want to fill the water myself. I don't want to start out with water that's full of a bunch of minerals and stuff that I don't need, because I'm going to get that all from the meat and the bones and the salt that I put in it. There we go. I got it. Should have had that ready to go. So you want to cover the bones generally with the water. There you go. Now, I'm not going to put a bunch of vegetables in it because I don't have a bunch of vegetables. If you're doing carnivore, I don't have to break that apart. If you're doing carnivore, you really don't have all those vegetables around. So, you know, if you wanted to, you could put carrots in there and whatnot. So I'm just going to go ahead and do some pepper in here. Either way, and one of the really big things about this is I watched the thing that Dr. Axe did. Yesterday I watched it, and talking about the bone broth and all the collagen that's in it. So if you don't want to go buy a bunch of extra stuff, here, I'm going to come back at you. If you don't want to buy a bunch of fancy collagens and spend all your money on that, this is a good way to do it. I always have, mostly always have, a bone broth in the refrigerator. I'll put it, I go ahead and as soon as it's done and I've gotten all of the juice out of it, which I'll do as soon as this is done and it's cooled enough to handle. I'll go ahead and tape when we're processing this, and you can see it. And then I usually will get 2 of these jars full, and then we just work off of those. We make sure that when we drink it, we have some of the fat in there and the broth. And then if I am cooking anything that I want a little bit of liquid in, I use the broth. You can also put it in ice cube trays and freeze it and put it in a baggie, and then whenever you need that, you can go ahead and throw that in something to cook with. But this is a great way that's very inexpensive and very nutrient dense to get a lot of those vitamins and minerals and those electrolytes that you lose if you're doing keto. If you're doing carnivore, not so much, because the meat is just jam-packed with a bunch of vitamins and minerals that are complete, and you really don't need to take a bunch of extra things. But if you're doing keto, you want to make sure you keep your electrolytes up. Anyway, that's all for now. I'll catch you later when the bone broth is done, or actually I'll probably catch you before that, because we'll probably have a meal before this is done. So later tonight after dinner, this should be all done and cooled, and we can go ahead and process it. So again, thanks for watching. You have a great rest of the day.